Well, hello, everybody. Welcome back again to yet another episode of You Haven't Seen That, or YHST for short.
Hello.
I'm Isaac.
I'm Elva.
And we're married. And we're doing a podcast together.
Podcast.
They're called podcasts. And sometimes we stutter. So what? Fucking sue me.
Podcast.
Hey, Elva, what are we covering today?
The Silence of the Lambs.
Shh. The screaming of the lambs, Clarice. Now, people are probably listening to this thinking, whoa. They both haven't seen that? No. This is one of those movies where I, of course, have seen it. And you, my dear wife, haven't seen it. And why haven't you seen it?
It just never popped up on my...
Of all the movies on the list, and there's going to be a lot of those movies where we kind of go back and forth and go like, you know, for our title of our show, you haven't seen that, but this was the one. This was the one because you're the spooky person.
Yes.
Because you're into you're a murderino.
Yes, I am.
This was the one that I was like, whoa, that should have been like moved way higher on the list.
I think it was on my radar when I was younger,
Mm-hmm.
but I never got to either renting it or by the time that there was really no streaming stuff, so we would have to rent it from the VHS store or whatever.
And we call those excuses.
Yeah, definitely they're excuses. But I had time to all these years until now, and I just never got to it.
And just to nutshell it, because we just finished watching it like an hour ago.
Yeah.
Overall, did you like it? Was it as good as you thought it was going to be? Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay.
And no. I think it's because I've been spoiled with too many of these shows that are very similar with kind of like what they do, like the behavioral stuff and things like that.
Yeah,
and I
like
think
Criminal Minds, Mindhunters.
Yeah. So, or even podcasts that go more in depth with that. So when it was like
Sword and
this,
Scale.
and I don't listen to that one anymore.
Drama.
Yeah.
What other one do you listen to? I'm not a murderino.
No, I don't.
So.
I don't remember the names off the top of my head. I would have to look.
A fan, huh?
Yeah, very much big of a fan. No, it's just either anything on YouTube or any documentaries. They just go more in depth. And then, like when I saw this one and I was watching it, it was just like, oh, okay, it's a glimpse. I'm not hating it, but I am just saying that I got a little spoiled with
actual murder.
Yeah. And then when this one was like, okay, I understand. I get it.
But do you feel like the I guess, I don't know if you would say the cultural importance of this movie?
Yeah. I guess. Yeah.
Man,
it's there. I mean, I think I just haven't had enough time to process.
Can I tell you how I think you're feeling?
Uh-huh.
I think you really liked it because as we're watching the movie, you really enjoyed it.
Well, yeah, I like murder stuff.
Yeah.
Who doesn't?
A friend of ours.
Okay, Rudy. Gonna call you out on that one.
Why? Why no horror? Why no horror, Rudy?
Who hurt you?
Yeah. So yeah, I haven't seen this in years. Again, it's Silence of the Lambs, starring Anthony Hopkins, starring Jodie Foster, director John Deem.
Sorry if we got that wrong.
Yeah, unfortunately, he has passed away. This movie came out in 1991 with a budget of $19 million and a freaking grossing of $272.7 million.
And it was released on Valentine's Day.
Yeah, you know, I mean, if it was me and you, that's a romantic date.
That is great.
Watch a horror movie. Has there been anything like that that's actually came out like during Valentine's Day that you and I want to go see?
I wish.
No, it's all cheesy ass fucking love movie. Which, in a weird way, as we watched this movie, I was like, kind of a romance. It's a weird romance.
Yeah. No, I got that. It was kind of, it was like a hidden romance.
It was in there.
There
was more admiration rather than lust. But the director, because I you know, other than like Steven Spielberg and George Lucas and Fincher, and I'm not great with other directors' names. And evidently, this director, he directed Philadelphia. He directed The Manchurian Candidate. He directed Beloved. I mean, he's directed some movies and
Canned Heat.
Really?
Or Caged Heat. Sorry.
Oh, I'm not familiar.
Yeah, I know.
Are we adding that to the list?
No, we're not. I don't know what that is.
But this movie, there was definitely no shortage of directorial experience. Like there was never anything where I go, that was a weird choice. Throughout the entirety of the movie, the camera movements, the camera angle, the cut, the edit choices, the fucking the sound design, the soundtrack, like I think the only time I felt, if I remember correctly, even though this is an hour ago and still we have a bad memory, I have a bad memory, is the musical stings would happen in some suspenseful parts, and it would happen like
Mm-hmm.
during transitional scenes, but for the most part, that intensity was like held throughout the moments and scenes that needed that intensity by like having no music in it and just the emptiness of a cold room. It hit as far as the movie is
Oh
concerned.
yeah, no, I had no issues with that. It was like, okay, it's very believable.
So let's get into it then.
Okay.
So the movie starts off with Jodie Foster as Clary Starling as a recruit, an FBI recruit. I
Mm-hmm.
completely forgot, mind you, this is years since I've seen this movie. I completely forgot that through the entire thing she's a fucking recruit, which I was like, oh, that felt weird to me because the entire time through all these years, I thought I remembered her as an actual FBI agent.
Yeah, I went in blind in this movie, and
Uh
I was
huh.
like, "Who the hell is Clarice? Are we doing like a Phantom of the Opera kind of thing here?" Where it's like, I was like, "I'm just gonna go along with it. I don't even know anything until."
But how did you feel about like her? I mean, she's the star of the whole fucking movie. But how did you feel about her being a recruit through the whole thing?
Um, it was kind of weird.
Like, is that ever done? Is that something that you just have to suspend disbelief?
I don't know. I think I would just have to like just get pushed through it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and in the beginning, it's so funny because the movie came out in '91, but I forget how like simple opening credits can be, as opposed to like nowadays with its whole designed
Mm-hmm.
sequence and whatever. And this movie made me long for the whole like less is more. I think the entirety of this movie, it might have been just this movie, but like the entirety of this movie was a lot of less is more and smart little like character choices, scene choices
Mm-hmm.
that where like there's a scene, and I'm jumping ahead, but there's a scene where Clarice goes to Lecter's storage, and instead of her just like popping it open and then going to check stuff out, like she struggles with the door getting open. It's among a bunch of other scenes in which they illustrate that like even though she's small in stature
Mm-hmm.
and one of few women on the whole recruit team in Quantico, she has this like stick-to-itiveness to her.
Oh yeah, I like how she thinks outside the box. Like that scene. Instead of like just calling it quits, she's like, "Hold on, I got an idea,"
Yeah,
and figures it out instead of
figures
being
it out.
like, "I'm done. I'm gonna come back tomorrow," like the guy said. And she's like, "No, no, right now."
And speaking of figuring it, and again, we're gonna bounce around a little bit. The one thing that I felt that was a little like old school sleuthy Sherlock Holmesian
Mm-hmm.
was her figuring out the anagrams. It's one of those things that I don't think anybody would have figured out. Does anybody do any anagrams nowadays? In any recent, I don't know, horror films, murder films, does anybody ever use anagrams? You know?
Not that I've noticed.
Do you notice a lot of things like that?
I mean, the only time I do anagrams and solving anagrams is like when escape rooms. That's about it.
Well, because like the scene where she first uses the anagram was after they first meet, he tells her, "Go find my patient,"
Mm-hmm.
and then gives her the name. I forget what the name was. She then takes it upon herself to figure out that that name was actually an anagram.
Mm-hmm.
How do you connect those dots?
I think it's just it could have been he might have said something where it's like it's all in the file because he kept referring to anything. It's all in there.
The on the file was later
Yeah.
on, but he had told her he had used the phrasing of like yourself or something like that, and she can't she because she was is like top of her class in behavioral studies
Mm-hmm.
and criminal behavioral studies, so she knew enough about that and knew enough about him to know that he wouldn't have used that type of phrasing, and then evidently searched around and it was a storage called all in yourself or something like that.
Something yourself. I don't know what it's
It's
called.
those little
Yeah.
fun things that they put in a movie.
But I kind of like that because it shows the potential that someone's ready to think outside the box. Because
For
a
sure.
lot of people, they're like, "Oh, what is this? I don't know," and then they're like, "Whatever it is, what it is, not an anagram." They don't try to solve it. But then there's those few select people that are like, "No, that's what it is over there." But because you guys are blinded, you guys can't see that's outside this imaginary box.
Yeah. I still think it was just writing to make her seem like smarter as hell, which
Yeah.
I love the fuck out of her character. For a number of reasons. Like throughout the whole movie, they illustrate her. They make sure to always illustrate her short stature.
Hmm.
They make sure to utilize POV a lot. Like people are either staring at camera, and it's unnerving because they look like they're looking right through the screen and at you. Even if it is like Lecter, even if it is her friend or any of the other like male uh, side pieces, side roles,
Slide.
um, like the use of everyone looking in camera, and a lot of times it's they're looking at you. Like there's the one scene, there's a whole crowd of policemen, and they're looking at her, but like POV looking at you, and it made me feel gross because the kind of underlying theme is not just oh she's a girl, it's like and how she's a girl, and they're checking her out, and constantly through the entire movie she's getting hit on.
Welcome to my world.
Man, must be nice. No, I'm totally
no,
kidding.
no,
I'm totally
no.
totally kidding.
I didn't feel that way, but I did feel like every time they looked at her, it was like, oh, you're just a woman. You're just gonna be at a desk probably. You're gonna fail out at this, and you're just being given this opportunity for that.
See, I would have initially have thought that,
Mm-hmm.
right? But there was more of like a look of lust in like the men's eyes. Like the women, and like some of the women were like, "Oh, you're an
No, no.
FBI agent."
There was some, but when mostly all the sheriffs are kind of looking
Yeah.
at her, they're looking down at her, like,
Yeah.
"Oh, you're a female. We have to have you in the room." And when she did talk, and like we will like a little privacy shoot, so we can prep her. They all looked at her like, "You want us to leave? Like you're asking men to leave the room?"
Which it took them a minute, but it took no extra persuading, and she did get them to do what she needed them to do. But my other question is, did you keep track of how many people hit on her from the beginning?
Okay, so there's the Dr.
Chilton.
Chilton.
What an asshole that guy.
Oh my
What a
god.
creepy asshole.
Are you gonna be here for long?
Yeah. Even though, he had a vocabulary about him and, wasn't outright like, hey, you want to go hang out?
No, he gave me rapey vibes.
Oh, major
Yeah.
rapey vibes. His little rapey face. Whatever the actor is, did a good job.
And then, I guess her instructor.
Crawford, I wanted to, okay. I had written down a couple of times in which I wasn't sure whether Crawford was not necessarily like a bad guy, but a bit of a dick the way everyone else was.
Well, in the beginning, when she's in the office waiting for him to get there, he like leans back in his chair, kind of like looks at her, and it's like.
But did you get that like looks at her, or like looked at her as a recruit?
No. Well, to me, it was more like a looked at her and was like, oh, you're just a woman. I guess I have to have you on my team. But then also like, maybe if you didn't have the sweaty clothes on, you'd be good looking.
Oh, I got you. Okay,
Yeah.
so that,
Yeah.
because that was probably the only time, because I wanted to like him, and I also like I wanted to not like him, because why the hell do you send a recruit to go talk to one of the most infamous and dangerous serial killers?
Well, they said they've tried many times with everyone else, and Crawford was probably thinking, if I send a woman, he'll be more willing to talk to her.
So he lied to her and threw her in basically as bait, as opposed to saying like, "Oh, just see if you can get something out of him."
Mm-hmm.
But I had another theory of he was just afraid of Lecter, because Lecter, just by sheer convinced the guy, his neighboring cellmate.
Oh yeah.
Was that the guy that
Yeah. It threw
yeah,
stuff at her.
yeah,
Yeah, because he's like, oh,
Miggs,
I don't think it was Miggs. Was it Miggs? I don't even know.
Miggs,
Miggs.
R.I.P.
R.I.P. Made him eat his own tongue.
You're just throwing tongue eater.
I was not expecting that jizz being thrown.
We just
I was not expecting jizz.
Sorry, we earned the explicit.
Not for
tag on
children,
this thing.
please.
No, yeah, this podcast is not for children. Come on, that was a lot of jizz thrown in her eye.
Yeah.
I don't remember. Okay, not outing my mom for like allowing us to watch these movies as kids, but it wasn't like, hey, let's go watch Silence of the Lambs. But it was like, hey, we're watching a movie. You guys can either go do what you want to do, or if there's nudity, then we're not gonna like show it to you. But I remember as a kid, I'm like, what's he doing? And he slings it at her, and I guess I just wasn't paying attention. But like, now that I'm a full-grown adult, that was a lot of jizz he threw in her eye.
It was a lot. I'm just like, oh my God.
Can I say bullseye?
And it landed like on her face and her hair, and I'm just like,
oh yeah. Are you gonna convince me to eat my tongue?
Yeah. Just wait. I'll send Ari for it. He'll meow
Whispers
at you.
meow meow meows in my ear.
Yeah, he's already looking at you that way, anyways.
But I thought that it was a cool superpower that Dr. Lecter had, which was like talking to people, and eliciting responses.
Well, I expect that from a psychiatrist, though.
Still a superpower. He made a guy swallow his own tongue,
Yeah.
and like the sheer asking her certain questions and prompting things, made her get emotional, and she was trying to stay strong.
Did you notice when Lecter mentioned to her that has Crawford hit on you or anything like that? Then after, there's a scene where she shakes his hand, and it's very much on the focus on the hands and how Crawford's hand cradles her hand.
Oh, okay. I might have missed that because I was wondering why they emphasized their handshake at the very end when she does graduate. Spoiler alert.
But yeah, there was that. Like there was like that.
I like that.
Even when they're on the plane and after they go look at the body that popped up in the river, he kind of is leaning a certain way and looks at her, and she kind of just goes, okay, and just goes back to recording whatever the notes she took or whatever was. Like she gave him no attention.
Nothing. that was after the autopsy.
Yeah, after the autopsy.
And he, I will give him credit. Like he took it upon himself to kind of bring up like, that burned you, didn't it? When I told the man that us men need to talk. We shouldn't talk about this in front of women. And she like calmly said yes, and he didn't combat it.
No,
he said noted. And
yeah,
he started to like earn more respect for her.
Yeah, but like it was that subtle like, oh, okay. But there was like that little how he moved his body is what basically Lecter was saying. Like, has he not hit on you?
Yeah. Which, by the way, so that monologue when Lecter is asking her that, what I enjoy about the character of Hannibal Lecter, portrayed by Anthony Hopkins, what a fucking perfect casting choice, by the way. I mean, there's not a moment where I think even people, even his coworkers or his co-stars were unnerved by his performance. He hardly blinks, and when he does, it's intentional. But anyways, his Dr. Lecter's word choices when he's asking her about, does Crawford make advances and all this other stuff?
Advances.
Right? But he's using all of these synonyms, right? Does he make advances? Does he this, that, and the other? And then just cuts to the chase, but does it intentionally and says, does he want to fuck you? And it has such a sting to it because Lecter's an intellectual. Sure, he's a savage and he's eating people's faces and whatever, but he's an intellectual. And so when an intellectual uses a curse word, a big bad word, it's intentional and it stings and it hits more.
Has more power to it.
Everything, any moment Lecter does anything, it is all intentional. Like when they have that agreement, quid pro quo. I can never get that one out.
Quid pro quo.
Tip of the tongue, lips and teeth. Quid pro quo.
There you go.
The scene where they're going back and forth, he asks her what her worst memory is, and he says, "Don't lie to me. I'll know." And every time she's talking to him, he looks away, and I think it's his own form of like just listening to her voice, his own form of like lie detector. And I love that. Just those choices, as I don't know if that was a choice as an actor on his part or the director, but it worked. It worked so well.
Oh my God.
He's a thoughtful person.
So when that scene happened,
Calculative is what I meant to say.
there you go. When that scene happened, and she's like, he goes, "Don't lie to me." I was like, is that how my therapist views me as well? Because I don't want to. I'm not lying.
My therapist want to eat me?
I was like, oh, is everyone like that? All right, cool. Well, I'll talk to her next session.
Did you enjoy the reveal? Again, we're bouncing around. Did you enjoy the reveal of Hannibal Lecter?
Like,
okay, so the scene's built up. She goes to the penitentiary or whatever the hell it is, right? And it's in the dungeon where all the worst of the worst are, and she has to pass through, level 1 of baddie, level 2 of baddie, until they all have iron bars.
Yeah.
And then goes to the very end, and it's this immaculate, pristine plastic glass, plastic glass, you know what I mean?
Plexiglass, yeah.
Plexiglass, excuse me, as opposed to bars. And it has this sterile feeling to it, and it's not right.
Yeah.
And then there he is. Anthony Hopkins is Hannibal Lecter. And the moment the audience sets eyes on him, he is just on, and he's fucking scary.
Oh yeah, no. Because I was, you asked a question, and I was thinking like, when he's being wheeled out with the mask on, I thought that's what you meant.
Oh yeah, no, I want to.
No.
You could jump to that if you want to.
No. Let's go with what you just said. Yeah, he was very, I guess, had like a menacing feel to it. Very, like, oh man, he's really gonna pick my brain. Like, he's really gonna like plant things in there. But every time she went back and interviewed him or did anything, it was less and less of that menacing feeling.
Yeah.
And more of like,
well, he sized her up right at the beginning.
Yeah. I know, but every time it was less and less of like menacing, and then more like, oh, he's like
admiring.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it kind of took away from that.
Thus a romance. Bit. Thus it was on Valentine's Day.
So it took away from that, but it was brought back when he was wheeled out with the mask.
I forgot to ask you at the beginning of this. What did you know about the movie before having seen it?
All I know is that he's the character with the mask.
Did you know he was a cannibal?
Yeah, that. I just knew that, and he had a mask. But I didn't know if he wore the mask the whole time. I didn't know if it was like Clarice was a hostage.
Did you expect him to come out and go, "I was born in the dark"?
No. Not at all.
I just wanted to do that.
Yeah, I know.
It's me.
Yeah.
I can edit it if you want me to.
No, you're fine. You can leave it there.
Sweet.
No, okay, so my whole thing was I was not aware of this whole FBI cadet interviewing him. I thought she was kind of just like a hostage, like he kidnapped her. There you go.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So, and I thought like maybe how he kidnapped people was he had the mask on. And maybe later on, like the whole like his line with like the beans and the wine and stuff like that. I thought it was just like, oh, he's literally.
Oh, the line with the beans. You mean the fava bean? The liver. I deliver with
fava beans and the Chianti.
Chianti. I don't have a problem with that one.
I was just thinking like, oh, like he's really like torturing this girl and eating all this stuff and probably eating somebody else's body in front of her. Never once. And of course, I thought that line was going to be said way towards the end of the movie, maybe after they captured him. Because when I do remember seeing like little clips here and there, and he was like in that white prison suit. Yeah. I was like, oh, they already captured him. This is him basically.
Well, I thought I had misremembered. I thought that the line was delivered in that scene towards the end when he's kept in like the makeshift cage in the auditorium in between transfer.
Yeah, I thought it was set towards the end, which would have been like amazing. But yeah, no, I had like my whole thing of this movie was totally reversed from what it was.
Buffalo Bill, did you know he was in this movie? The whole, tucking of the.
Woohoo. Yeah.
What do you, okay, before having seen the movie, what lines did you know were in the movie? The Chianti Fava Bean line,
The Clarice.
right?
That was it.
Did you know the Would You Fuck Me?
No.
You didn't know that was from that?
No.
The song Goodbye Horses?
I forgot that song.
Right, but did you know that like
No.
it was in this movie?
No.
The whole, tuck dance. Oh my god. You guys, I fear for my life because she has never seen this movie, and as we're watching this and Buffalo Bill is doing the old infamous tucked dance to the song Goodbye Horses, I turn over.
I am guilty of this.
I turn because I see movement, and my wife, who has never seen this movie, is dancing along with it. So if you haven't heard from me in, 48 hours, please.
I have enough recordings of
Send
you to make it seem like you're still alive.
You guys, she kept me I'm in the well, and she's dancing weird. Are you going to cut my skin? Are you going to make it an Isaac suit?
No, I couldn't get past the forehead.
No. You don't have till strong enough. Where the fuck do we go from there? Okay. Anthony Hopkins, Hannibal Lecter. One of the baddies. What did you think about Buffalo Bill as the second baddie? Because he's the only baddie you don't root for. Although there was a moment where he had a glint of humanity. Did you notice it? Did you catch it?
With the dog?
No.
Oh.
Puts the lotion on the skin, right? Are you familiar with that line, by the way?
I heard that line. I just never knew where it was from.
Oh. What about, was she a great big fat person?
No.
Never heard that one?
No. No, I'm pretty sure I probably heard it, but just never knew where it was from, and I just didn't want to research where it was from.
The moment that he had a tiny little glint of humanity was when he's telling, I forget the name of the girl down in the well. It puts the lotion on the skin. I've always wondered, again, as a kid, I saw the movie once, and then throughout the years, never rewatched it. And, the line plays over in my head. It puts the lotion on the skin. And I always wondered, why the hell did he say it like that? And it was because he didn't want to recognize her as a person. So she was an it, right? And as she's begging and begging, the camera's looking up from the well, and his lip quivers a little bit.
Oh, I did see that.
Yeah. I was like, oh, that's a great choice. And then from that on out, he's a fucking monster.
So when I saw that, I was like, oh, he was in a character.
Oh, okay.
So I thought that was just the character doing it so she can go ahead and put the lotion on the skin.
I could see that, but no, because he kept calling her an it, and that scene was right after the recruits see the newscast thing, and then Sterling and her friend make the connection. Oh, that's smart that the senator, which is the victim's
Catherine
mom, is that the Catherine's mom? Is she keeps saying her name, Catherine, so that it humanizes her because the killers usually don't want to see their victims as people.
And the other moment where he kind of see a little more of him is with the dog, because he doesn't care about anything else but that dog. Once that dog is down in the well with her,
Precious, he
is just no, don't hurt my dog, don't hurt her.
Inconsolable.
Yeah,
that's because dogs are awesome. Although I can kind of see your point though about like maybe he's playing a role because he did play a victim in order to get her in the van, which was funny. I fucking laughed because as soon as that scene happened, as soon as she, what's her name again? Catherine decides to help him move the couch in the van, you immediately say, "Why
people shit? Why? No one else would do this. No one else would say that. No one would be like, you need help?
Hey, no one who's growing up in the hood.
And no one is going to be like, oh, let me go into the van so we get better leverage.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
no, no, no. Once it's lifted and on there, you just push it in. The fuck? I don't give a crap. You have a broken arm. Pretend broken arm.
Speaking of Bill, I had a client. I do pest control, and I had a client years ago in LA that looked and sounded like Buffalo Bill. The guy was like in a ratty pink robe.
Ugh.
Yeah, and it was like 10 in the morning,
Gross.
and he had like that stringy hair, and he sounded exactly like Buffalo Bill. And he was like, "Hey, do you want to come in for a cup of coffee?" I was like, "Oh, nah,
What if you
no."
were his next victim?
Probably. That's
Yeah.
exactly what I thought. Alva, I was almost a skin suit.
Damn. Almost. I did like how Bill had night vision goggles. So it kind of gave it like, was he in a war or is he just very much into military stuff?
That's actually a pretty good point, because then, not that it's had anything to do with military related, but like the gun that he had,
Mm-hmm.
the hell
45?
was that? What the was? That was a fucking hand cannon, but Nazi paraphernalia.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Maybe that's
Yeah.
some backstory. Maybe that's something that was in the book, which I didn't. By the way, I didn't know that this was
A book?
an adaptation from a book.
Oh.
And then I don't know how many is actually in the series. No, there's Red
Lame.
Dragon,
Yeah.
Hannibal,
There's more.
Silence of the Lamb. I'm not gonna read them. I fall asleep when I read.
I'm not going to read them either.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe I'll try, but I don't know.
I know this whole movie, like, it spawned the sequel Hannibal, and then Red Dragon, and a series,
Mm-hmm.
a TV series,
Yeah.
with Mads Mikkelsen as Hannibal Lecter.
I believe so.
Look it up, people.
I will look it up for you guys.
Okay, so you mentioned it before that the thing that kept you from really loving it was there were some inaccuracies as far as like serial killers, but there were some
Mhm.
parts that I heard you go, "Ooh, slippage," which was when they showed the pictures of the dead body,
Oh, yeah.
because you listen to all the murder podcasts and you watch all the murder videos. Was it Bailey Sarian? Who's that medical examiner you follow?
Doctor
And
and
Jemmy?
Jemmy? Yeah.
Yeah. And so
Yeah.
from that, you used to like show.
Well, I used to do like the gross room, which was like
Yeah.
her subscription to showing like autopsies and stuff like that.
Again, people, if you haven't heard from me in 48 hours, please send help.
It'll be too late. Anyways, no. It was pretty accurate, and that's what I kind of liked about it. Because most movies or anything,
They get
they'll-
it wrong.
they get it either wrong or they're just like, we think it's gonna be this, and I'm just like, the fact that her body was in a body of water, and then you show exactly how a body will react,
Or decompose in water.
decompose in water, is exactly that picture. And I'm
So
just,
you want to explain what slippage is?
you could do it.
You don't know?
I don't know how to explain it.
So slippage is when I suppose a body's decomposing and it's at a certain stage of decomposition, and your epidermis, the outermost layer of your skin, starts to slip. And people sometimes call it degloving. I'm no medical examiner, but I think that's a rough explanation of what that is.
We're gonna go with rough, yeah.
Más o menos.
Quizás.
So let's go forward to the autopsy
Mm-hmm.
scene, because this was a scene that I remember watching as a kid, and I remember it feeling like really grungy, almost like a Fincher movie.
Mm-hmm.
If you're familiar with David Fincher, which we're putting some of those movies on the list,
Okay.
but it felt grungy, and rewatching it now as an adult, it didn't feel as dirty and as grungy, but it still was dirty. And there really was never a full reveal of the dead body that they had found. There was like when they turn her over,
Yeah, when they turn her over.
but there wasn't like a full frontal.
No. But
view.
they just show her head,
And
her
her
face.
hands.
Yeah, her hands.
How'd you like that special effects? I don't know if that's a real person or if that's just like a whatever fake body, but like that was impressive.
I really liked it because so I don't know if it was someone just, because when they did open her mouth to take that picture,
Yeah, it looked real,
it looked
like a person.
It looked like
Not
a
a dead body.
person, and I'm just like, it's not a mannequin.
Yeah,
I don't know if it was, but A+.
and the Vicks on the nose thing, I always remember that. We're Hispanic. We usually put it on the chest, so we're like, oh, you can
No,
put that
no,
on
the nose too. Yeah, right here in the nose, exactly where they
Yeah.
put it. Yeah, that was. I was wondering why it was like so white. I'm like, usually it's kind of like.
I don't remember it being that white on their nose.
I was like, is it the lighting? I don't know. But that was just me. It was fine.
And speaking of the autopsy scene, is it just of the era that like all the gloves look janky? The latex gloves look janky?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They look like they always look too loose and
I don't know if they're like reusing or just have them
no, I
that way. And I
doubt
don't know.
because like I had a complaint about the glove usage throughout the movie, and then there's a scene when like the nerds are examining the pupa,
Hmm.
the cocoon from the moth, that one of them's not using gloves and it's getting all its like larval juices on his
Yeah.
hands, and that's another scene where she gets hit on by a nerd. Not to say that nerds don't have, as the kids say, riz. You want me to edit that out?
No, we're good.
Look, man, I'm trying to get to all the demographics.
Yeah, no, I get it. I
But
get it.
that's another scene she gets hit on.
Yeah. That one was a little bit more like the guy was just shooting his shot like right there and then. I'm not even gonna like sugarcoat it. Do you wanna go to burger?
She was sweeter about it though
Yeah,
when she
she
turned him
was.
down.
Yeah.
The other thing that stood out in the autopsy scene, again, no music, hardly any sound. In fact, the only sound was of like the camera flashing, the camera shutter, and it was so pronounced, and it worked because I think I felt like it was meant to show or illustrate the unnaturalness of the autopsy, of finding a dead body in
Yeah.
the river, of examining it. What did you, without any other thoughts on that autopsy scene?
I did like how she was handed the picture to see the inside of the mouth and she quickly goes, there's something in her mouth. They were just gonna dismiss like, well, we got the picture, it's cool, whatever. And then they're probably just gonna release the body or keep the body, and then she's like, no, wait, something's in the mouth.
Right, but do you know why?
Why?
Because she's fucking Clarice Sterling, dude.
Clarice. Yeah.
She's a badass.
She pays attention to detail.
She is an overall badass, a sleuth of all sleuths. She did get an A- though in that one class.
And he said he gave her an A.
We kind of went past it, but like Chilton is a fucking dick, right?
Oh yeah.
Do you feel like he treated his patients as like a sideshow, like a circus sideshow? He was weirdly proud of them.
I think he was just someone who wanted to experiment, to be like, oh, I helped them out. I need them better. I need all this attention, because I'm gonna fast forward towards a little bit after the autopsy is when he basically backstabs Clarice in a way, listens to a recording.
Hey, spies on her.
Yeah.
He put a bug in the room.
He basically just goes to the news like, no, it was me this whole time and blah, blah, blah.
He almost fucked up the whole investigation.
Yeah. But yeah, no, that's where he's like, no, me. And he was.
The name is Chilton, spelled.
Chilton.
No, going before that, when she first meets him, and they go down and into the dungeon, and she then tells him, "Oh, I'm gonna interview him by myself," and he was very offended by that because he wanted to be part of it. But did you notice how weird it was that when he told her, "Yeah, don't get too close because if you do, this is what happened to a nurse of mine," and then produced a picture from his coat pocket?
Yeah.
Like he just had that on him?
He had like this fascination.
Yeah, like it's totally not needed for the explanation of why not to get close to the fucking cage.
Did they even show the picture?
No, they didn't.
That was kind of.
That is another one of those things where when the violence happens, some of it's behind scenes, off screen, but when it does happen on screen, it's violent, so that it builds it up, and then it makes it keeps those moments from being cheap.
Yeah.
Well done, Hannibal Lecter.
But Chilton also basically puts her in a she's not allowed to see him anymore list.
Yeah.
She like bans her from it, but she still gets through and gets the last help from him.
He really did want to help her, but he wanted her to figure that shit out on her own.
Yeah, because he saw potential.
She obviously had daddy issues, and it was a weird father-daughter relationship between them. Really, he was mentoring her.
Yeah.
And how to like investigate and use her big brain. Very weird.
I do have a how you were saying how some of the things were kind of like a no-show. What Oh,
Off screen
like off screen
kills.
kills. When some of the kills that the Hannibal Lecter did, I don't know if I'm desensitized from whatever it is, but I saw it and I'm just like, ah, that all right. Okay. I'm like, that's cool. But it wasn't like
Chewing on his cheek. I would have gone from the nose, but that's just me.
No, but it's kind of one of those things where it's like, I don't know if maybe if I saw this movie at a younger age or when I was younger, I would have been like, ooh, or I was been like, but this movie did better. But now I'm just like, I don't know. I think I'm just so desensitized that I saw it. I gave it props for what it did, but I'm just like, oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I remember that because I want to ask you then, what did you think about the death? I call it the Death Angel. When in the later part of the movie, he's in that makeshift cage, and after he stole Chilton's pen, and so that he can get the clip off of it to unlock his cuffs,
Mm-hmm.
to which he fucking brutalizes the two cops, and then all the other cops happen upon the scene after the fact, and the one officer is hanging, strung up, I think by his intestines.
Okay, so that's the whole
And
thing.
eviscerated, belly open.
Okay, so I was going to tell you that. I'm like, was he hanging by his intestines or did he get cuffed up?
I always thought in my mind, as again another one of those things where I had always imagined that not imagined, but I'd always assumed that it was by his intestines. Could be cuffs. I mean, do the intestines have?
Because I feel like it would be more sturdier with the cuffs because it didn't seem like he was.
Let's go try it out.
Okay, let's go. You made my test dummy. No, that scene I was just like, ooh, that's very much giving like a certain symbolism.
Oh, like a crucifixion?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was just like, all right, cool. I did like though the part where he did kind of switch with the bodyguard. I'm like, you had enough time to do all this.
Dude, that I completely I forgot about that scene.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was like, wait, where's the other guy? The other guard, or rather, where's Lecter? I knew the switch was coming, and I wasn't gonna do that thing that people who have already seen something do to the non-viewers, which is like, oh man, wait for the next scene. I was fucking sitting on my hands and biting my tongue and like kind of glancing over at you to see if you were gonna figure it out, because there was a couple of times in this movie that they did a little bait and switch, and they did it so well without leading you on too much in advance, so that you're like, oh, okay, I see where this is going. Like it's all built up, and you think, oh, they're gonna catch him, and he's gonna pop off on the elevator, and that is his body, until it's the last second. It's too late, and he peels the cop's face off of him. Fucking awesome body gore at its best.
Oh yeah, no, I figured that shit out. I was like,
oh, sorry.
I was like, okay, because here's the whole thing. I'm like, they're gonna kill him, and so the rest of the movie is gonna be Buffalo Bill. Like that's it. This whole movie is this, and then you're gonna kill him off. No. And then the more like that they went on, and because remember in the beginning of the movie he says his heart rate doesn't go past 85.
Oh, good point.
So I was just like, so if his heart rate, he can lower it and maintain it.
Give him credit what credit is due, Alva. That was a cool fucking bait and switch, and you want to admit it.
No, it was. I'm not saying it wasn't cool.
Why do you gotta qualify it though, bro?
Why?
Okay, so another bait and switch, and this one I thought was done even more cleverly. Towards the end, Crawford is on his way to Chicago, and Clarice is still kind of like tying up loose ends per Crawford's instruction, and she's going to like an old seamstress friend's house, a seamstress friend of like his first victim, right? Is what it was.
Yeah.
You don't realize that you're bouncing back and forth between two different scenes. So when the SWAT team is seemingly advancing on Buffalo Bill's house, because you're like, oh, they got it all figured out. It's all in the bag. Do they do that shit, by the way? They have the agent like in a flower van with the flower box ringing the doorbell. Anyways, when they do that and they're hitting he's hitting the buzzer, and Buffalo Bill's down in the basement where Precious has just been captured by Catherine. I forget her name. She's a whatever. Oh, what an annoying bitch. What an annoying.
She reminded me of, oh my God, who she reminded me of somebody. Anyways.
So as you're thinking about that, his buzzer's going off, and you're thinking, well, yeah, because the FBI agent is ringing the doorbell, and he goes up and he opens the door, and Clarice is standing there, and I forget how tricked I was.
You were tricked?
Yeah.
Oh my God, that was plain.
I'm sorry. I'm not trying to figure out what's going to happen, later. I'm just enjoying. I'm in the present, Alva. I'm trying to be in the moment, man.
No. Because the fact that there's these little subtle hints that are just that you're missing, like when she's in
Well, then I wouldn't. I mean, I've never said I'd be a good FBI agent, Alva. You don't have to slam me for that.
It's like those hints where she's in her room, the first victim's room,
Mm-hmm.
and she kind of looks out the window and she's kind of like looking through her stuff. Then there's a distraction that makes her go to the other room, which then she figures out, oh, this gets the other hint. And then
Lucky guess, by the way, trying to find those Polaroid pictures behind the music box. Random.
Well, the box kind of in the back looked a little bad, but whatever. But it wasn't until the cat meowed and caught her attention to the other room, and that's when she's like,
sewing room.
The sewing room. That's when she's like, oh. But even when like it was her, and if there was a window behind, it kind of did this thing where it's like it focused on her, but made sure to also focus on the outside, like across the street kind of thing. Or when it went to the sewing room, it kind of made her like, oh, this is a sewing room. And then made sure to emphasize the outside. Like,
I gotcha.
There is something nearby that is going to be that point.
Okay. All right. A long-winded way of you calling me an idiot, but, we'll fucking take it for what it is. I love you.
I love you.
Can I tell you like a couple of like the random things that stood out to me? Like random, I kind of put this under like random miscellaneous things. One, which you called out, and I'm very proud of you.
Oh, what did I call out?
You said, finger control.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So anyone who's into firearms, they know that where you place your trigger finger on the gun until you're ready to shoot is like your first safety. And I'm proud of you, Alva, for calling that out. Because the police officers, which are all actors, I know, but everyone in that scene is, even though they're not ready to shoot and they're just walking around with their guns, finger on the trigger. Very bad. Bad.
Always bad.
Two other things that stood out. One was they had mentioned Clarice had mentioned to her friend that, well, the computers would have figured it out. This is 91. I don't think computers even I think barely computers now with AI would have been able to figure out those patterns. But is it just like a movie trope thing?
The movie was 91, but what was?
Oh, right. Yeah. Even still, even better.
Computers.
Yeah.
Really?
And then lastly, as far as like tech is concerned, it's revealed that Buffalo Bill. By the way, they mentioned that he earned that name more as as a joke.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Did they explain why Buffalo Bill?
I didn't catch it.
I didn't catch it either.
Mean, maybe I caught it and just.
If you guys know why, hit us up in the comments in the DMs. And then lastly, it was that Bill wanted to get sexual reassignment.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if they confirmed that's what he had wanted and that he maybe got rejected.
I don't.
But my whole point was, in 1991's technology, would you have wanted to get sexual reassignment? It ain't gonna look pretty. Ouchie. But that was just a few things, like the random miscellaneous thing that stood out to me. Actually, you know what? Another thing that stood out was, in the autopsy scene, yes, they went through the whole trouble of putting the Vicks on themselves because the smell was bad. But then later on in the movie, not to say that she had Vicks ready, but when Clarice is in the dungeon of Buffalo Bill's house, and then she happens upon that room, and in the bathtub there's this body soup.
It's the seamstress. Oh no, wait,
I think
in the
so,
tub,
right? Yeah.
It was that the lady she was going to go question, so it kind of gave it like a psycho vibe.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense. But the thing I was going to point out was wouldn't you have vomited on the spot because it's a tub full of person?
It looked very past a certain point.
Oh,
Like,
I don't know about that, dude. I've encountered like dead rats that are like a month dead and it's still stinky. When you have a bathtub that's of a person soup, that's
yeah,
going to be pretty gross. I mean, I would have been, again, suspending to disbelief, but I would have been okay if she at least like sniffed and then gagged
yeah.
and then, scene went on. Yeah, I'm being picky. Whatever. Sue me. But I did like that, the thing that kind of fucked Bill over. It was his demise, was that he decided to click the hammer back, which is always a movie trope. You
Mm-hmm.
click their hammer back. For anybody that knows guns, you don't have to always click the hammer back in order to shoot the gun. And because of that,
Bang, bang, he did.
yeah, because the whole night vision scene, she
Yeah.
couldn't see shit.
Which also, that was a little bit of a peeve because how long does it take your eyes to adjust?
A while. She was only down there in the complete black pitch darkness for, I probably want to say like 3 minutes at most. Your eyes don't adjust that fast, assuming that there's zero light down there.
That's true. Okay.
Yeah. And he had night vision. That's what you get when you toy with people. Never monologue and never toy with people.
Mhm.
Just kill them.
Yeah. Just didn't in the first place. I like how you try to touch her.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to touch you. And then I'm like, oh.
She doesn't
never
smell
mind.
them.
Yeah.
No, that's you. That's me and you being like super picky,
Mhm.
which we do that at time to time in movies. And then the movie comes to a close. She kills him. She graduates. She becomes a special agent.
Mhm.
You never get to see Jodie Foster in any of the sequels. That role is reprised by, or that role's not reprised. That role is recast by Julianne Moore as Clarice Starling. You know that?
No, I didn't know that.
Great
Okay.
actress, and that's probably one we should throw on the list to check out because I don't remember if that one was any good. Hannibal.
Hannibal? Okay. Put that on the list.
But yeah, she's celebrating, and then Crawford gives her the handshake, the more admired and
Yeah.
respectful handshake, and tells her, "Don't forget about the call that you have." And in her celebration, she takes that call, and it's Hannibal.
Which I'm pretty sure Crawford kind of had kind of knew who it was.
How?
He might have had like a
Intuition?
intuition, inkling of who it was because they never really said that. Oh, he escaped in the movie.
Yeah, they did.
They did?
Yeah.
Where?
When Clarice and her friend are freaking out because they find out that he had escaped.
Oh, that's right.
And her friend thinks, well, he's going to come for you. She goes, no, I don't know how to tell you, but it's just,
He won't.
he would consider it rude. I love that
Yeah.
phrasing. He would consider it rude.
Mm-hmm.
So she's fine afterwards, but takes that call. And sure enough, it's Hannibal Lecter on the phone. Dr. Lecter? Dr. Lecter?
No.
Random though, like the fly lands on his face. Did you notice that?
And he just stays there. He doesn't like try to swat it, pretend to like move his hand just to fix his glasses or whatever.
And you're kind of rooting for, like, he then becomes likable and you're kind of rooting for him because his closing line is, well, I'm going to have a friend for dinner. And then,
Shows
shot
Chilton.
Yeah, because that motherfucker needs to get his comeuppance.
He looked very like, oh, what's going on? What's happening? I think he was trying to like escape from
Yeah.
because he kind of looked like he was kind of always looking like over his shoulder.
Yeah.
But
He knows he's an asshole.
Yeah, but he's like, oh, I'm in a different country. Like, no.
Pan out, fade to black, credits. You saw the Silence of the Lamb. Are you happy that you saw it? Now that we broke it down.
I could cross it off my list now. Yeah, definitely.
Is it something you would rewatch? Because technically this is a rewatch for me, and I really enjoyed it.
I think I would rewatch it. Maybe.
I don't think I emphasized how good Anthony Hopkins was as Hannibal Lecter. He didn't blink. His like British tones and when he would mock her the way she would talk.
Oh, I love that.
I never ceased to amaze. Favorite role? Next to Odin and Thor. I'm kidding.
Debatable. No. It's a good role. Good movie. As for watching it again, I'd probably watch it. Maybe give it a couple months before I rewatch it.
This is probably a silly question, but would you suggest other people watch it? Because I'm going to say yeah. It's in the zeitgeist. It's a quotable movie.
If you like serial killers, yeah, I would 100% tell you to go watch it. If you want to watch a movie,
Well, even as a cinematic
um,
masterpiece.
if you're very squeamish and don't like this genre kind of thing, but
Oh
you,
yeah, we know
yeah,
people like that.
still watch it, give it a chance,
Yeah.
Rudy.
So you would suggest people to check it out through
Yeah.
that thing.
I would suggest people check it out at least once. Just go in.
I would say if it's on your list, that growing list, I would say bump it up a handful of notches, especially
definitely.
for the spooky season.
Oh yeah,
because it's not in the supernatural realm. It's
these characters are based off of real serial killers.
and I wouldn't say it's a horror film, sure, but it's still creepy as hell. It still leaves you feeling gross, even if it is because it's based off of real stuff.
Yeah.
Now, last episode, I had you guess the Rotten Tomato score.
Yeah.
Now you're gonna have me guess.
Okay. What do you give it?
Oh, what do I personally give it?
Yeah, personally, what do you give it?
I personally give it out of 100% on Rotten Tomatoes score meter. I would give it a 95.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
What do
okay.
critics rate it?
Right on the dot, 95.
Boom! Look at that. I'm a critic. And audience score?
95 as well.
Dude, come on. I promise you, you'll give me that look. I did not peek.
I don't know.
I didn't peek,
All
man.
right,
How good am I at guessing the time?
You're good on the time.
Pretty good at guessing the time.
Yeah. What time is it? You don't peek.
Oh, it's 10:40.
No.
No?
No.
What is it?
11 p.m.
No shit, really?
Yeah.
Oh man, we're going late. Well, we're about wrapped up. Is there anything else? Any last thoughts? Any last words about this movie? Anything you want to tell people? Anything we might have missed? And if there's anything, I'm talking to you, the audience. Alva, you can quiet down for now. If there's anything we missed, we get stabbed. I'm just asking for it constantly.
You're just not gonna wake up.
Yeah, no. If there's anything that that we missed, always let us know in the comments section and hit us up in the DMs. Tell us what you thought about this movie. Anything else, Alva?
No.
You want to close it out?
Yeah, let's go ahead and close it out.
That means it's time to go.
Go to bed.
Go Mimis.
Go night.
Look at what other movies we got to watch for the spooky season. We haven't figured that out yet.
No, but I think it's Studio 666.
Oh, yeah.
The
Dave
Grohl
Grohl,
one?
Studio
Yeah.
666. So stay tuned for that one.
Yeah, will be this month. Not sure when.
Where can people find us?
Instagram.
Mainly Instagram.
Mainly Instagram.
Yeah,
We're
check
working
us.
on TikTok.
Are we?
No. Why just Instagram? Find us on Instagram.
Yeah.
Follow.
Forehead Films, FOREHED Films on Instagram.
You can also listen to where podcasts are found.
Oh, yeah. Where are we?
We're on Spotify. I know YouTube. iTunes or Apple.
Amazon. Those are the main ones. I'm trying to work on getting us on SoundCloud.
Okay, yeah, that too. Yeah.
All right. Let's go to sleep.
Yeah.
Let's put a button on this.
Okay.
I'm going to hide the knives.
Well, the whole thing is I'm just going to let you live.
Kind of want some fava beans now.
Ugh.
All right, guys. Thank you for listening to another episode of YHST. Check us out next week. Bye.
Bye.